The close friends of the person you hold dear recently came across your photograph, and they had quite strong reactions to it that you should be aware of. My dear child, please do not dismiss this. Stay until the end, for something significant is forthcoming. Upon viewing your image, these two individuals, who are among the closest to the one you cherish, engaged in a conversation that transformed instantaneously. If this message touched your soul, take a moment to subscribe and continue walking this journey of faith with us. One friend fell eerily silent, gazing at your picture as if they had encountered something profoundly inexplicable. The other friend began to respond, quickly but hesitated, stopping short of disclosing the entirety of their thoughts. That moment of silence is critical, considering these are not merely acquaintances scrutinizing a random image. They possess insights into the feelings, behaviors, aspiring dreams, and private musings of the person you love, knowledge that most individuals are never privy to. Thus, their observations upon seeing your photograph transcended superficial judgments of your appearance. They were striving to comprehend why you had become significant enough to be shown to them in the first place. Do not skip this, for their initial impressions merely scratch the surface. A pivotal realization awaits you, one that could illuminate why your presence has evoked such profound emotional responses from this person. Suddenly, the conversation took an unexpected turn. One friend glanced at the person you love, then back at your photo, as if they were juxtaposing entirely disparate narratives. They discerned a shift, a discernible change in the way your beloved speaks, their demeanor whenever you are mentioned, and the energy that envelopes the conversation when your name arises. After viewing your image, that friend grasped the source of that change, forming a strong opinion rooted in the sense that something about you could not be easily overlooked. This was not a characteristic that was loud or blatant, but rather something deeper. Your expression conveyed that you are not the kind of person who enters another's life without making a significant impact. Then, a statement that made the person you love react in a distinctly different manner emerged. The friend insinuated whether this connection had already evolved into something more significant than was publicly acknowledged. Stay until the end, as this inquiry sparked an unexpected dialogue that caught your beloved off guard. Meanwhile, the second friend had been observing quietly, and when they finally expressed their thoughts, their insight was even more surprising. They identified something in your photograph that led them to believe the person you love might be at the onset of a unique emotional chapter, which caused a palpable shift in the atmosphere. What transpired next is critical. The second friend did not initially focus on your attractiveness or charm. Instead, their attention gravitated toward the personal impact your photograph exuded. They perceived a blend of confidence and intrigue, warmth intertwined with profound emotional resonance, evoking curiosity about who you are beyond the confines of the image. Their gaze then shifted to the person you love, where they observed something even more significant, the way your beloved awaited their reaction. That fleeting moment conveyed more than words could express. Typically, individuals do not exhibit fervent concern for their friends' opinions unless the subject in question holds substantial importance to them. Do not skip this. Stay until the end because something profound is on the horizon. The most robust opinion shared by these two friends transcended the mere appraisal of your photograph. It encompassed the observable changes within the person you cherish whenever your identity is introduced into their thoughts. Just before the conversation concluded, one friend posed a question so precise that your beloved found themselves momentarily speechless. That brief pause may offer the most significant clue to this narrative, for the query did not focus on whether they recognized you, but rather on their readiness to acknowledge how much you truly mean to them. The instant that inquiry was articulated, the dynamics shifted as the person you love did not respond in the manner their friends anticipated. A brief hesitation ensued, prompting both friends to exchange glances as if they had uncovered something vital. "My dear child, do not overlook this," as what followed that silence revealed far more than the image alone could ever convey. One friend finally articulated what they had been contemplating from the outset. There was something indelible about you, not merely your outward appearance, but an essence radiated through your photograph. They felt that you resembled someone who is aware of their worth, someone whose presence lingers in another's thoughts long after parting ways. The astonishing aspect, the person you love did not refute their sentiment. Instead, they revisited your photograph with renewed focus. Stay until the end, for that reaction led their friends to reassess the notion that this connection might already be more profound than anyone had openly acknowledged. Then, the more reticent friend discerned something nearly impossible to feign. Every mention of you subtly altered the expression of the person you love. Their focus sharpened, and they listened with interested attentiveness, as though your name bore emotional significance that transcended the ordinary. In that instant, the friend comprehended that your photograph had not been shared casually. There was a definitive reason for their inquiry regarding your impression. They began probing into aspects of your personality, your conversations, and what distinguished you from others. With each answer provided, their curiosity intensified. It is crucial not to overlook this point, as it marks a pivotal shift in their perspectives. One individual expressed the belief that you could become profoundly significant in this person's life, while the other maintained that you already were. These contrasting conclusions, while distinct, converged on a shared truth. You had made an impression before even entering the same space as these two. Yet, a far more profound revelation awaited. Just as the discussion was poised to progress, one friend turned directly to the person you cherish and posed a thought-provoking remark. They had observed this individual discuss many others previously, but the manner in which they spoke of you seemed markedly different, more deliberate, more emotionally engaging, and less concealable. At that moment, your image shifted from the central topic of discourse to your essence itself, your character, your presence, and the potential ramifications of this relationship. Remain engaged, for something substantial lies ahead. Their final insight would delve even deeper. They suggested that the person you care for might be withholding thoughts they genuinely wish to express to you. When one friend inquired about what was hindering them from achieving complete openness, the response they received transformed the entire context of their previous revelations. What followed dramatically redirected the conversation. The individual you love confessed that their reticence stemmed not from a lack of importance you held, but rather from the realization that this connection had grown unexpectedly significant. "My cherished child, do not overlook this moment. It is precisely here that the two friends began to piece together various subtleties they had observed. One recalled that the person in question exhibited a distinct attentiveness whenever your name was mentioned. The other noted their frequent return to your photograph, suggesting that a single glance was insufficient to grasp the depth of their emotions. It was then that both friends arrived at a shared conclusion. You were no longer merely an ephemeral figure in their thoughts. You had evolved into someone of genuine emotional interest, someone whose presence had prompted questions difficult to dismiss. Stay engaged, for something significant is on the horizon. The most compelling perspective regarding you had yet to unfold. An unexpected analogy emerged when one friend thoughtfully observed that the way your person spoke of you differed vastly from the manner in which they referred to others. Descriptions of different individuals seemed routine, yet when your name arose, they recalled intricate details, small things you had mentioned, fleeting moments, and subtle traits most might overlook. This revelation took both friends by surprise. Do not skip ahead, as it is often those particular details that signify true engagement. Upon viewing your photograph, one friend articulated a newfound understanding. There appeared to be a complexity in your expression that eluded easy interpretation, intensifying their curiosity. They yearned to discern what you were truly like, why this person contemplated you so deeply, and whether you were aware of the impact you had already made. However, the most startling moment occurred when the second friend posed a question to your person. Would they feel entirely at ease witnessing you grow emotionally close to someone else? An immediate silence enveloped the room, a silence more illuminating than elaborate explanations. Though your person attempted to skirt the inquiry, their friends had already noted the visible reaction, marking the inception of their most potent shared sentiment. They believed there existed unfinished business between you and this individual, something yet to be fully articulated by either party. My beloved child, make sure to stay till the end. Something significant awaits. One friend then imparted a rather unforeseen piece of counsel. If your emotions suggest otherwise, cease to mask this connection as ordinary. Those words lingered in the air. Yet, as the conversation progressed, there was one final question from the other friend, the inquiry that could unveil everything. If you were to vanish from their life tomorrow, would they seamlessly proceed with life as usual, or would your absence create a void they could not easily fill? The response from your person was immediate, and the aftermath exposed the depth of your significance in their thoughts. This moment was impossible for the two friends to ignore. Rather than dismissing the question with laughter, your person fell silent, and that stillness conveyed the weight of considering your absence. My dear child, do not skip ahead. The discussion now transcended mere photographs. One friend exchanged a look with the other, both arriving at the same realization without uttering a word. You had carved out a meaningful space in this person's heart. Your photograph had merely brought this reality to the forefront. One of them then articulated a notion that resonated profoundly. At times, one truly comprehends someone's value only when contemplating life devoid of their presence. These words landed with newfound significance. Your person examined your photograph again, this time with an expression infused with a softness previously unnoticed by their friends. Remain engaged, for something monumental is on the horizon, and the most striking insight was poised to emerge from the friend who had been observing intently from the beginning. Without resorting to grandiloquence, that friend finally articulated their complete perspective on you, stating that your picture conveyed the impression of someone who would be challenging to forget once truly known. Your presence exuded confidence, yet there remained an elusive quality that intrigued them, rendering you unforgettable. However, their primary focus was not on your features, but rather on how their friend reacted to you. Each time your photograph appeared, their gaze instinctively returned to it. As discussions about you delved deeper, the responses became noticeably more cautious. This led both friends to recognize that their companion was safeguarding something emotionally significant. It was at this point that one friend posed a thought-provoking question. If this person means nothing unusual to you, Why do you hesitate before every answer? Once again, there was no swift reply. That moment of uncertainty revealed to both friends that this connection could no longer be labeled as merely ordinary. Yet, there was still one final revelation. Before concluding their conversation, one friend imparted a thought that would linger in their minds. Often, those who fundamentally alter our emotional landscape do not arrive with fanfare. They quietly gain importance until one day we come to realize how much their presence truly matters. My dear child, remain attentive as something momentous awaits you. After absorbing everything, the two friends shifted their discussion from whether your photograph had left an impression to pondering if their friend was beginning to feel something deeper than they could articulate. When their companion gazed at your picture once more, no further questions were necessary. Their position was now unmistakable. It was evident you possessed a quality that transcended initial impressions, and what followed could determine whether this bond remained a silent possibility or evolved into something unforeseen. Yet, what transpired after that exchange was unexpected. Despite the cessation of talk about you, the person you hold dear did not swiftly move on emotionally. The words of their friends reverberated in their mind. If this connection were truly commonplace, why did every serious inquiry about you elicit such difficulty in response? My beloved child, stay engaged, for this is where the narrative elevates to a new dimension. Your photograph had initiated a dialogue, compelling this individual to scrutinize their feelings more profoundly. They reflected on fleeting moments shared with you, seemingly trivial words exchanged, conversations that clung to their memory, and the curious way your presence could re-emerge in their thoughts unbidden. Stay till the end, for something significant awaits you. The friends entered this discussion expecting to form an opinion about a picture, but emerged with the belief they had uncovered something much more substantial about their friend. Then came the realization that tied all the threads together. The most salient takeaway for these two friends was not simply that you were attractive, enigmatic, confident, or noteworthy. Rather, it was that you seemed to elicit an emotional depth in the person they knew intimately. They had observed their friend express interest in others before and had heard numerous names mentioned in passing, but your name sparked attention rather than indifference, engendered curiosity rather than casual chatter, and prompted hesitation when discussions turned personal. Do not overlook this, for one friend finally provided clarity on the entire situation. Perhaps your beloved had been so focused on deciphering your feelings that they had not adequately addressed their own. This realization altered everything. The pertinent question shifted from what their friends thought of you to why their friends' perceptions held such weight in their own heart. This inquiry became an inescapable consideration for them. Now arrives the insight that has been steadily accumulating throughout this narrative. My dear child, remain with me, for something significant awaits. While those two friends formed strong impressions from your photograph, the most impactful observation they made was what they could never capture in that image, their friend's reaction to you. One sensed that you had the potential to evolve into someone profoundly meaningful, while the other suspected you may have already crossed an invisible boundary. Perhaps this is why your image lingered in their thoughts, not due to the predictive power of a photograph, but because it unearthed an emotion that had previously remained unnamed. The opinions expressed by those friends inadvertently unveiled something deeper about the person you cherish. And now, one crucial question looms, a question that could alter the trajectory of this entire connection. Upon reflecting on the insights offered by their closest friends, What decision will your loved one ultimately make regarding feelings they can no longer easily ignore? Just when it appeared that every stone had been turned, one final detail illuminated the situation with renewed clarity. My dear child, do not overlook this moment, for something significant awaits you. After considering their friends' perspectives, the individual you cherish began to view things through a different lens. The inquiries ceased to originate from their friends, and instead began to echo in their own thoughts. What made your presence feel so distinct? Why were seemingly trivial aspects about you so vivid in their memory? Why did sharing your photograph with two trusted companions feel like a pivotal moment? More crucially, why did the mere thought of losing this bond evoke such intense emotions? Remain attentive until the conclusion, for it is here that they began to recognize that perhaps their friends had identified something they had been reluctant to acknowledge. Your photograph did not generate those feelings. Rather, it acted as a mirror, reflecting emotions that were increasingly difficult to ignore. Then, a particular memory surged forth with greater intensity than the rest. It was not necessarily a grand moment shared between you. It could have been a small interaction, a thoughtful remark, or simply the transformative effect your presence had on an otherwise mundane occasion. In that instant, your loved one comprehended the depth of their friend's reactions. My dear child, do not bypass this. The two friends were not merely taken by what they perceived. They were astonished by the change that overtook their friend whenever you became the topic of conversation. That revelation, rare and profound, lay at the heart of their discussion. One friend believed that your connection was still unfolding its narrative, while the other felt that its story had already commenced, even if neither of you had explicitly defined it yet. Both friends shared a common understanding. Some connections grow in significance quietly, long before anyone finds the courage to articulate their true meaning. Now, everything hinges on one remarkable truth. Remain engaged until the end, for something monumental is on the horizon. When the two friends examined your photograph, they anticipated forming an opinion about you, but instead, they unearthed something about the person you love. Their most profound realization was that your presence held a significance rarely found in ordinary relationships. Every hesitation, each recalled detail, and every cautious response pointed toward the same potential. This individual may harbor deeper feelings for you than they have openly conveyed. Perhaps the most astonishing revelation is that their friends did not require a confession to discern this. They could perceive it in the slightest reactions, hear it between the lines, and recognize it within the quiet moments. Your photograph merely marked the beginning. The true epiphany lay within the emotional response it elicited. From this point onward, the pivotal question shifts from what those two friends expressed about you to what your loved one will ultimately confess when the weight of their silence becomes unbearable. However, there is one final layer to this narrative that alters the significance of everything you have encountered thus far. My dear child, do not skip, for something tremendous awaits you. After the conversation concluded, those two friends departed with one undeniable impression. You had become a topic that their friend could no longer regard lightly.